Hello everyone, and thank you for being here. I am Dr. Carrie-Lynn Bollmann, and I am a physician in internal medicine and integrative medicine, and I have been asked by Dr. Feroz, a good friend of mine, to say a few things on happiness. I really don't have much prepared, and I am not going to go into the research, but I thought I might tell you a little story about me and also some things that I do to cultivate happiness. So I would say that I was well into my 30s before I realized not everyone woke up happy. I remember my dad being, at a very young age, my dad would tell me that we were born into a very auspicious family. Whether or not that was true, I always remembered that. And I thought that we were here to do something important, and what we said and did for others mattered. Service was a very important part of my growing up life. I did go to Catholic school when I was young, so I learned about more traditional Western Catholicism and religion, but then I also, when I was young and when I was 7, was singing bhajans, which are Indian songs of worship. So I really grew up in both the Eastern and Western cultures, and just learning overall about the oneness of the universe. And so for me, that was really an important stepping stone in my happiness, and just putting everything into perspective. My parents were really good at not kind of pigeonholing me into one religion, but rather wanting me to learn about all different walks of life, spiritual walks of life. And so I think that at the very beginning of my childhood, that was something that was instilled in me that was important. And then that was going to continue to be important for the remainder of my life. I remember a little story that I remember going grocery shopping with my mom, and I was young. I was probably like 6, and I started crying in the parking lot, and my mother, she said, what's wrong? And I just said, what if I don't love God when I get older? And she said, well, that's okay. She said, you won't care anymore then. And that kind of settled me down for a little bit, but I don't know why I remember that to be as something that was paramount in my spiritual journey. I think at that moment committed that would always be an important part of my life. So that's, I think, becomes center for me when I think about my happiness. And again, like I said, it was later, probably in my 30s, before I realized not everyone woke up happy. That wasn't everyone's set point. And why was that? Was I one of the truly blessed ones or truly lucky? Or did I actually cultivate it? The answer is probably a little bit of both. So, and it's not that I've had this lily white perfect life. I have had my share of trials and tribulations, but I think, sorry, my cat found a toy. I think that what's important is that it is important to experience a spectrum, right? So there's pain and pleasure, joy and sorrow, happy and sad. And I think in order for one to fully feel and relish in the happiness and the joy and the pleasure, there also has to be some equivalent of pain and sorrow and learning there. There was a study that was done. I think this was a study in the 70s. It was older, and it was about a happiness set point for lottery winners versus paralyzed victims. So people that had gotten in an accident and were paralyzed versus people that had won the lottery. And they found that although the initial, here's their set point, right? And the initial extreme of pure happiness versus pure devastation, after 1 year, they were all back at the same level of default happiness that they started with. Those people who were the lottery winners, They did not find joy in the more mundane tasks. And those people that were the paralyzed victims, same, they would spend a good amount of time in the past, and it didn't affect their happiness at present. They just went back to their default. So I think that having a spectrum of really running the gamut of emotions and allowing yourself to really feel those things and really cement those experiences can just pave the way for starting to cultivate and starting to receive happiness in your life. So, the world lately has been full of discord, and there are many spiritual leaders that knew this was going to happen. So if you look back into more recent records, historically, they will tell you that this was predicted and this was coming, and that it's important to be positive and stay positive. And that in and of itself is spiritual work, right? So whatever religion you are, it doesn't matter. However spiritual you are, that doesn't matter either. If you are doing some sort of work towards working to positivity, then you are growing for yourself, and you are also growing for the good of the community. So I really believe that happiness is a choice. I think that obviously there are some devastating circumstances that we will all suffer through in our life. And I think it's important to choose to find the good side of things, and the happiness that is surrounding. So one of the things I always remember is Mr. Rogers. He's an American. He was a kind of a TV star that had a children's show, and he said that his mom would always say, whenever there were bad things happening, like in the news, he would say, look for the helpers. There's always helpers. So all this like devastation would be happening around, but then Mr. Rogers' mom told him, just look for the people that are helping, and you'll be able to see the good. And this is the perspective that I'm talking about. This is the kind of change and the shift in your brain that you can make happen. There is something called neural plasticity. We know now that the connections in our brain are able to move. We are able to actually change the connections in our brain and really pay attention to those things that are positive and moving us toward growth, and then thinking on them can actually change those connections so that we start to feel and think about things in a different manner. There's a saying that where thoughts go, energy flows. So if you are deliberately thinking these positive thoughts, then slowly, eventually, and surely, you will be receiving this positive energy towards happiness. So how do we stay positive when times are not that positive sometimes? Well, one of the ways is to do what Mr. Rogers' mom is and look for the helpers, look for the good things, pay attention. The other thing is to just be okay with what is. So Shakespeare said in the 1400s, he said, there is nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And I always try to remember that when I'm overthinking, because I overthink. Those of you that know me know that I overthink a lot of things. And I just try to remember that Shakespeare said that. There's nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So my choice, my thoughts, choose how I'm going to feel and react to a given situation. So that's important. Being okay with what is. There's a very Zen Buddhist kind of feel to that. When when you attach a feeling towards something, and then you step back and you ask, is it? Or is that true? And you'll find sometimes, like oftentimes, that you've attached a certain feeling before you even know the outcome. And then you're just getting in your own way. So that's one of the things that I really try to do. The other thing is, for better or for worse, I grew up thinking things happen for a reason. I couldn't find my keys for work. I knew I was going to be late. I was frustrated. I knew traffic was going to be now busy and I was going to come in late for work. And I would just, again, have to take a deep breath and say, okay, there's a reason I couldn't find my keys. Maybe I'm avoiding a big traffic accident that I would have had that day. And okay, is that true? I don't know. Did it help me? It sure did. It helped me get through the day. So whether or not it's true, it didn't matter. It was what I had told myself, and that was what was helping me in that moment be okay with a negative consequence and somehow able to turn it back into a positive. So being okay with what is really important, and sometimes it's really hard. So practice, there's a good saying, practice makes habit, not practice makes perfect. Practice doesn't make perfect. If you're practicing the wrong thing, then it's not going to get perfect. Practice makes habit. So if you are practicing positivity, and if you are practicing non-attachment, and if you're practicing just being okay with what is, then that is the thing that is going to become stronger for you. That is the habit that you're going to lay down and create. And then you will find just more ease in the body. You'll find more peace, and then you'll find more ability to really cultivate that joy that you need. I know I need a lot of joy in my life. That's just something that I've understood about myself. It's taken me years to realize that and understand that I need joy and happiness. I need fun and funny. I need humor. I was really grateful and blessed to grow up with my dad and mom, who both have a good funny bone. They've got a good sense of humor, and I know that helped me get through a lot of times. Even as a physician, sometimes it can seem a bit crass that we use humor, but it is partly a defense mechanism, because the alternative on that spectrum would just be to crumble. And so sometimes we just have to laugh a little bit about certain situations, definitely not people, but just certain situations that might happen. We just have to kind of laugh and just to kind of get over them. It just helps us. So laughter is a really important part of your day. Studies show that you don't even have to have a thing to laugh at. You can just literally start laughing and just cackle about nothing. And that studies show that will raise your mood, and that there are good studies in cardiac health that laughter is very helpful for cardiac health. And it's it's posited that way is just decreasing stress and stress and inflammation. So laughter is another really important one. Here's another favorite saying of mine: you win some and you learn some. So not everything's gonna go your way, and you're not gonna win. A lot of the times you're gonna lose, but that losing is still a lesson. So it's learning. You're always learning. If you win, winning's easy. Winning's easy, and giving people presents and presents that they like so that they feel really good, that's all easy. The hard part is losing, because what are you going to learn from that lesson? How are you going to change? How are you going to be better? How are you going to be stronger? How are you going to be faster? How are you going to work harder? All of those things are important in all of your losings. So I like to evaluate, what things went well and what things didn't go so well for me, and what would I do differently next time. I think that really helps me when I'm working on happiness. And then just being grateful. I think, again, I would say that maybe I'm one of those people that wakes up happy, but when I look back, I've cultivated this. This is something that, yes, I've had the right resources to do that, but it is something that has been a daily practice of mine. So I'm immediately grateful for sight, for ability to hear beautiful music, for the ability to walk, to use my arms, whatever it is. I can think of 100 things during the day that I'm really grateful for. And so it's important to me to say those things out loud, even to other people. What it is that I'm grateful for them, having them in my life, for maybe something little that they did for me. Those things are bringing energy back to the positive. And I think that is something important. So, okay, so what can you do? Well, one of the things I kind of mentioned is like just having like 3 to 5 things you're grateful for in your life, writing them down, maybe journaling. If you had a bad day, write that down so you can get it out, get rid of it. You don't need all that sticky energy in your body. It causes dis-ease. Get it out, talk about it to someone you trust, talk about it in a journal. If it's something very private, just write it out, and just release that energy that you're holding that does not serve you. And then lastly, I think that service is huge. And so people that have a spiritual practice, whether it's religion or not, they do have some things in common, like community and service. And those things, when you are able to serve someone, and when you are able to see things from another's perspective or walk in someone else's shoes, and you're able to really give of yourself and your talents and the things that you're good at, your skill sets, we all have them. And we all have things that we're good at that we could share with others and help them. And living a life of service, living a life of dharma, which is your right action, what feels good and right to you, all those things come and bring happiness. A community brings happiness. So that can be as simple as a Mediterranean diet. In the Mediterranean diet, it's not just about what is eaten. It's about the culture of food. It's about bringing people together. It's about eating together and talking about your day, taking a walk afterwards. All of those things that bring a sense of community are really important to cultivating happiness. So even if you're alone in your house because of a quarantine or a pandemic, just reaching out to some friends, even just taking a few minutes. Today I had a friend who we don't even talk a lot. We see each other. We work together at the medical school. And we saw each other yesterday for 5 hours. And of course, we're wearing masks because we're at the medical school. And she just texted me today. And she said, "It was really good to see your smiling eyes today." And I called her and I said, "I just want to thank you for your text." She didn't need to send that. And she did. And she said, "Well, I was going to say your smiling face, but we were all wearing masks, so I didn't actually see your smile." But so the point is that little action of sending me a quick text, it took her 10 seconds. And I thought, this deserves a call. This deserves a phone call back to let her know how she's impacted my day and affected me in a positive manner. And it just put a smile on my face. My walk was just a little more confident. I was just a little happier that she had reached out to me. And we spent no more than 2 minutes on the phone. I thanked her for her text, and I thought, just checking in, and I thought that was just very nice, a good gesture. So those things are very, very little. They take 30 seconds and they go a long way. So so I guess to sum it up, have some perspective, be positive, be okay with what is. Any lessons that you're learning because you're losing are good ones. Being grateful for what you have, and just remembering that, thoughts will go where thoughts go, that energy will flow. So setting up those positive neural connections and just being very rooted in your spirituality. And that does not mean a religion. That can mean maybe you just put your naked feet on the ground for 5 minutes a day and you connect to your earth, your planet. And just, that's a very important thing that Mother Nature, those words are there for a reason. People would not have made up the words Mother Nature if they did not feel a very loving, nurturing quality from the earth. So that's another important thing I would say, is just really grounding down to the earth and just thanking the earth for giving you an atmosphere in which you can breathe and play and work and serve. So I hope that helps, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the summit. I'll probably be posting this on my Facebook as well, and I just wish you all a joyous rest of your day or evening. Take care. Bye-bye.